Hello, welcome to another show and share on Tuesday night, the first one for 2023. Yes! Let's hope there's a lot more. Yeah, at least 52. Okay, so for show and share, we share our projects, whether they be successes or failures in progress. You're giving us progress showings of it. Failures, maybe you want to ask some advice, and you can have people meet you out in fiber arts or arts and crafts later to talk about how they could do it better. But for right now, let's get on with the show. And Jennifer, you have some art for us?
Something new and different.
We'll take it.
You have to use your imagination. It is a sculpture in progress. It's going to be 2 octopi. Tanglement. This is a rough chair legs and wire. So one octopus is going to be down low, kind of coming up to the home of the other one. And the other octopus is going to be up here in his little home. In his little home, which is going to be a reef. So I'm going to put shells and all sorts of stuff. And there's a hole in the back side of the reef, which is his little home. I've never done sculpture in clay before. And this clay is really like tactile. It's really hard. I don't know if you can see the back of my hand. The tendon kind of popped. If anyone knows of a way to warm, I don't know, diaper wipe warmer, if anyone has an old one, I would love it to try and see if I can warm the clay and kind of soften it, because trying to soften the clay. Yes, ma'am?
What type of clay are you using?
It's a plastiline clay. It's a plastic-based clay. No, it doesn't harden. It stays kind of soft, so that you can keep working it. Any questions? I was using a heat gun. The heat gun would soften it a little too much on the highest setting, but not quite enough on the low setting. Crock pot. Crock pot might work. I might have to get a mini crock pot. That's an idea. That might work. That might melt it too much.
Bright light,
Okay.
like a 100-watt bulb, just right down on it. The old incandescent.
Yeah. Okay.
They get pretty hot.
Yes.
Not saying it's a great idea, but I've always used the microwave. That's what I was told.
Well, is there a microwave here in the shop?
It's not.
I don't think you want me putting the clay in your microwave.
I mean, it's more of a personal thing, but you have to take it really easy, right? Because if you hit it too hard, you can wind up with like
A puddle, yeah.
and then you stick your finger in there.
It's just going to turn to a liquid puddle of wax sort of thing.
You can mix it up well, and you can soften it in the microwave.
Yeah.
Or in a low oven.
Well, I've been working here, so I've been here part of the time. So, any questions, anything? Yes. Yes.
On your reef,
Yes.
you have the tubes.
This is armature wire. Underneath is paper and an armature stretchy wire.
Is that for more coral to attach to?
It's so that you can attach the clay and build up the clay. It's just a substructure for it.
Okay.
I've never done a sculpture. It's just trial and error and playing.
I didn't know they were going to turn into something.
Well, these are going to be his legs. Currently they're pulled in at the moment. So, structure for his legs when I finally get to that point. Anything else? Nope. Great. Thank you. Yeah, you kind of have to use your imagination.
All right. So next we have an electronic gadget from Robert.
This has been sitting around my house for going on 2 years now. I started it for my girlfriend, and well, it's first of the year, so I decided it's about time to finish it. It's so that she can back into her garage and not run into the wall and get close enough so that she can close the garage door without having to get out and check every time. This is what it's based on a Arduino Nano and the little WS1228 RGB LED strips. So this is what the interior looks like. Little Arduino Nano, LED strip, and a sonar sensor for sensing distance. And so and then I use 3D printing to do all the cases. If I can actually see. I'm getting too old for this. So it pops on to tell you that it's on, and then once it's on, it'll tell you it's too close, and my hand is too small to, here, let me point it at the table. Yeah, we can move it down. And the colors are just, I did all the software for it, so the colors, I chose those. There's a library from Arduino, or there's an Arduino library for that LED strip. And there's an Arduino library for the little sonar sensor as well. So I took those as starting points and wrote the software around that. Any questions? Yeah.
You can adjust like the distance that it will turn the lights on?
Yep, that's a parameter that I programmed into it. So if I need to change it, then I just pull up the code and change the value and reprogram it. The same with the LED colors. I started out with yellow or green, yellow, red, and I just decided to go with dim yellow up to bright yellow and then red.
How long did it take?
From start to finish, about 2.5 years. Actual time working on it, probably 8 or 10 hours, just playing around, experimenting at first, getting all the pieces together. The prints, this was actually the most time-consuming print was the case for the little for the sonar sensor, and that was a 5.5 hour print, probably because I did it at 40% fill, which is a little stronger than I normally do things at about 25%, but I wanted it a little bit tougher. I think I got the temperature a little high because I've got a lot of gaps on the sides. I'm still playing around with getting the temperature right on my 3D printer, so. But that's it. Any other questions? Thank you.
I think that's better than the tennis ball a lot of people have that touch the windshield, for sure.
That was my first thought, but I was like, nah, I can't just do a tennis ball.
All right, up next we have Brad with an urn.
I have to be careful because Brian over here does some really nice dovetail work, and as you well know, and I haven't actually, I thought back to when I cut my last dovetails, probably 15 years ago. I cut a lot early in my career, but then when I was, as a professional woodworker, you can't chop them all by hand. And I was in the yacht building business, got some real big dovetails for the dog houses and yachts. And so you use a router to cut the bottom so that it's absolutely flat, but you do it by hand. It's not using a jig. And it takes some practice and it's hard, but it works real good. So these I decided to chop them completely out with a chisel. And I'd bought some poplar from up in New Market. There's a company up there, Creekside Lumber. I bought a bunch of green poplar, and a couple of the boards were just out of this world. And so this is where I was cutting the dovetails, and I just looked down, and there's all the different colors of the sawdust. I just thought that was kind of cool. So I got a picture of that. And then there's a picture of the tails cut out. And there's my first fit, and that's the color variation you can see. And this is just kind of a artsy-fartsy picture I took to show off the pieces before they go together. And this is from my brother, my younger brother, Donald Ansley, who told me about Knox Makers before he passed away about 2 years ago. And his wife asked me, my sister-in-law, asked me to make an urn. It's not the first one I made. I made one for my father 32 years ago. This one was easier because I guess I got used to it, or I'm older, but it was, you only lose one dad, you only lose one brother. So anyway, I just was so impressed by this. Poplar's it's sort of an underrated wood. And this stuff, once I cleaned it and planed it up, was really beautiful. And so don't look at these dovetails too close. I'd have to smack you in the head. And, but I'll pass this around. It also has a little, I really like these spring latches. Like this is red oak. And so the only metal in it is the hinges and the screws, and these two screws on the top of this latch. And the bottom is just raised panel with the panel down, book match pieces that I found. It's just made out of little scrap. And I only had enough to do the sides and the top. The top is really cool. And it actually, I hate putting finish on it because when it's unfinished, it just looks so neat, but it still looks pretty good. But I'll pass this around, and this will go in the ground, and probably the next few months, you'll be able to see it again. So, here you go.
You woodshop people just amaze me with that stuff. But one of my favorite things, Christmas lights, Bob Berry. Gotta love those Christmas lights.
Hello, this is my first time doing this, so y'all tell me if it's too much. Where do I put my phone? Right here? Right here. A couple of years ago, I got into making a digital LED Christmas tree. So I had to have a base for it, so I made this structure, and the ring is where all the lights attach. I just cut a circle, put a bunch of screws in it at evenly spaced angles, and that became the center of the tree. That's my old workshop, just testing some lights out. And then here's the tree. It's about an 8-foot tall tree. So I just used some, it's a metal pipe hanging strap to connect the top to the bottom. And then I bought these LED strip lights, kind of like what somebody just showed a minute ago, only they were 15 feet long. I cut each one in half, made connectors to hook them all in, This was 2 years ago. And so that worked. And you run it all with a Raspberry Pi computer. And then I used X-Lights, which is some free software for setting up the patterns. X-Lights has, I don't know, 30 or 40 different lighting effects that you can apply to your structure. And so that was my tree a couple years ago, and it's pretty cool. So this year, let me think. This year, a year and a half ago, I moved into a new house. And I had the builder build in some wiring into my soffits. So I could, and I had them all run to a space in my attic. So I knew I wanted to do some lighting. So I had him do all this stuff. And I found this J channel that exactly matches all my trim. So I bought a bunch of it. It was only like $7 for a 12-foot piece. I drilled a bunch of holes 2 inches apart with my drill press and a little jig I made up. And then I bought these 50 LED bullet lights and stuffed them in each of the holes. So I made 550 holes and stuffed a bunch of LEDs. It was fun. And they go in my soffit like this. And I'm never taking those down. So I'm going to be one of those Tennessee rednecks who leaves his Christmas lights up all year long, okay? Let's see. So then I pulled up this old picture of the house under construction, and in X-Lights you model it, you draw your strings, and then you apply your effects, and this is what the simulation in X-Lights looked like. So you can do, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. You guys have all seen the Christmas light fights, TV shows, and all that stuff. I'm never getting that bad. But yeah, you know, you never know. So this is the attic space where my light controller and DC power supply sit. My little, this is the Raspberry Pi. You got to have a network LAN connector to hook all the things up. It's not that complicated, but you know, you have to have a network diagram, because just setting up the network is non-trivial. So you got to know what address you're setting everything at, and it took a little bit of while to figure it all out. Finally, you have this thing called the pixel controller, which is where all the strings plug in, and it connects via Ethernet to the Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi sends all the data over, and this parses it out to each of the individual strings. So y'all tell me if I'm going too much. Here's a little video of everything running, and that's not the best video. Let me try this other video. Okay. There we go. And you know, cell phone cameras don't do the thing justice really, but yeah, so it all comes together. You can do effects that pass across the whole setup, which I think is really cool, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. So hopefully that's not too much.
I noticed on your controller there was a bunch of extra spaces, so just saying.
I have 16 channels on my controller. I'm using 8 of them right now. Next year I'll probably use more.
Would you be able to hook it up to where you could use it with your phone to control it, or a remote control? Stand outside and watch it, make it.
Yeah, I mean, everything's available. I can log into there's at least 3 different software applications. There's software on the Pixel controller, but that's really just setup stuff. There's software on the Raspberry Pi that runs a scheduler. You can have multiple light shows that you want to run. And you can access all those through your phone, through the LAN. I've also got a FM receiver, or FM transmitter that I'm hooking in. So next year, when I have a little more time to think about it, I hope to synchronize some music to the lights and broadcast that on my little mini FM, half-watt transmitter.
Are you taking music requests now, or?
Bring it on, yes.
I was thinking what you could do is have an entire just a back wall of LED lights in a room or something, and that could be the music room, and then if you're playing like Thunder by Imagine Dragons, you have like that says lightning and the thunder, it does thunder across it.
I think I need you sequencing some of these lights to music. That's what I think. I need a sequencer.
Are you the reason my power went out on Christmas?
I don't think so. That's one cool thing about these LED lights is I've got 900 lights running right now. They only use, I've got two 360 watt power supplies, so 700 watts for 900 lights. More questions?
Since it's permanent, are you gonna program it for different holidays?
Yes. I can do, well, I don't have my LED matrix installed yet, but I had a few lights left over, so I think that's the next thing I'm gonna work on is a rectangular matrix of lights that you can flash text on. I was flashing text on my Christmas tree. I don't know if you noticed it, but I had Merry Christmas scroll across my tree because it's not square. It's a little hard to read, but you can read it if you're far enough back. But yes, messages, just part of my problem is getting things to be wife approved.
Stay off my lawn.
Maybe. Any other questions? One more back in the back.
Once she goes to sleep, she doesn't know your lights are on.
That's true. So I can change the program at that point, but gotta be careful. Any other questions? Thanks a lot.
I don't want to leave the Christmas lights. That was cool. Brian, you have a plank box.
Hey guys.
Can you plank according to this?
So I got late start on Christmas presents this year, so everything is bleeding over. So what I'm showing you right now is a Christmas present, but luckily I didn't tell anyone I was making them stuff this year, so nobody's looking for it. So if it bleeds into next year, whatever. The comment earlier about needing to cut a lot of dovetails in order to be good at them is valid. So before I made this box that I'm going to show you, I practiced on a much smaller box. So here are the pieces of it.
Made a scale model just to practice?
Well, this is actually a completely different thing. I decided, do what, sorry? Overhead zoom. You know, as many times I've been up here, I think I'd figure this out. But anyway, this one was made out of genuine mahogany, which is like absolutely wonderful to work with. It's very difficult to get a hold of anymore because you're not allowed to cut the trees down anymore. They all come from the Caribbean. So luckily, Jared gave me an old stock piece that he had sitting around. So I made a couple of little boxes out of it. This is one of them. Instead of mahogany, now everyone uses sapele or sapele. I don't even know how you say it, which looks very similar, but when you actually work with it, like nowhere near the same thing. But this is a traditional like raised panel design. So dovetails holding all the corners, and then the bottom you see there in the center right there. Those are all like half lap joints. So it allows wood to expand and contract with seasonal changes without any gaps opening up in your bottom. Nobody wants, gaps in their bottom. It's just fun to say. So just so you can see more or less how it goes together, because this box is essentially the same thing, except I didn't take any pictures of it while I was doing it. You see the little groove down there for the bottom, and then you can see the bottom going in. Right. This is what it ended up looking like. It was a little business card holder that I made for a buddy. I didn't take a picture of the business cards because I didn't want you to see the name of the person I made it for, but this is a friend of mine, and we always joke. So Benjamin Franklin was a very wealthy individual, and so he retired extremely early in life, and his stated profession was man of leisure. So anyways, this says my buddy's name, Man of Leisure, and on the back it just says you're welcome. So at any rate, I made that one to practice for this box right here, which is made out of sapele. And I should have grabbed a piece of the genuine mahogany so you can try to see the difference. They look like almost exactly the same. I'll take the top off here. Oop. Sit it down underneath. So all of this wood has this really cool like ribbony pattern. It's called rowy. Basically the grain swaps directions every about ½ inch or so. You can see like a ribbon stripe here and then a ribbon stripe there. And every time you see that change, the grain is running either up in this direction and then it changes to up in that direction, which makes working with this with hand tools incredibly difficult because every about ½ inch to an inch, you're planing in the wrong direction. So it's quite challenging to get a really nice surface finish with this stuff, even with extremely sharp tools. The benefit of using genuine mahogany is even though it does have that same rowy look, the physical strength of the lumber is much higher, so it doesn't tear out like this stuff does. Anyway, it's kind of cool. That's as an aside. So I refurbished this number 7 hand plane a while back. Wow. I did show that up here, so I'm not going to show that off, but that's what the box is for. So this is designed to go up in his shop and just sit there, and then when he wants to put it away, you can put it up here. So that sits in there. The box is, again, dovetail design, so you can see dovetail on all 4 corners. And then I don't know if this is going to show at all, but there are just through mortise and tenons. So you can see these, that's the end grain sticking through from the box that's on the inside right here. And then same raised panel construction on the inside. You can see the raised panel on the back. That's all curly maple. It's completely unnecessary, but I think it looks cool. Anyway, I'll send this around. You can take a look at it. It's going in a shop, so I kind of, I'm not supposed to curse. So anyways, I did a halfway job on actually putting finish on it, but you can check it out. Send it over the top. I did inset magnets into the bottom and just drove some nails into the corners, so this top sticks on there real nice. So I'll send it around. You can check it out. Any questions? Cool.
Yeah, how long did it take?
I did this over the course of 3 days, maybe like 5 hours in total.
I guess my other question was, is the sapial as softer than the mahogany to work with?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have the same problem planing?
Mahogany is wonderful.
Okay. Okay, next up, we've got a laser cut plaque from Davis Pratt.
Hey guys, so I was told this was about announcing new projects as well as displaying ones that have already been made. And after watching everybody come and present things, I'm no longer convinced that's true, but I hope it is. So my name's Davis Pratt, and I'm here to start a project which is, well, I'm a den leader with Cub Scouts with Pack 346. And this year my den is Arrow of Light, which if anybody knows, that's the highest thing somebody can earn in Cub Scouts before transitioning over to Boy Scouts. And my Arrow of Lights, each one gets a plaque at the end of this. And I called my buddy James, who also wrote my name on this list. I messaged him today and I said, hey, I've got this project, and is there any way you can point me in the right direction? And so he said, well, of course, there's this thing at Knox Makers tonight. You should come. So I'm here, and this project is going to be my first one doing this sort of thing. It's some woodworking, it's some laser cutting, and it's to make some things that these kids hopefully will keep for the rest of their lives. So it's an important project to me. It's also something I have no idea what I'm doing. So with that being said, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what help I can get from the community, what I can maybe lend to this endeavor, and learning a few things along the way. My son Clive is here, and he is beside himself with all of the cool toys that he's seen since he walked in the building. So, I'll be fair, so am I. But yeah, I'll maybe show these when I'm finished. I don't know. That said, guys, thank you for letting me come up here and speak about it.
All right, that is the end of the written list. Is there anybody that didn't get a chance to put their name down? I guess not. Okay, so we'll head on to announcements. I wanted to quickly mention, we do have on our website a drop-down called Swag. So if you want to get dressed out in Knox Maker gear this year, or maybe have a drinking cup, head on over to the Swag menu item. The other thing that's on that website is the event calendar. So a few of the things on the event calendar that are coming up: MIG Welding 101 on January 12th, that's Thursday. Woodworking Auth class, same night. TIG on January 14th. We've got the board meeting January 15th, new members onboarding January 17th, laser cutting on Wednesday night, January 18th. We have an advanced serial communications electronics class on January 19th. And the big event for us is the annual meeting on Tuesday, January 24th. We will be closed to the public that night. It'll just be members, where we get to talk about things that we have been successful with over the years and the year, give our financials, and talk. There'll be a ballot that goes out a couple weeks beforehand where you can vote on the board. And then we'll announce the results of that vote at the end of the meeting. Are there any other announcements I forgot that need to come up? Okay. I think everybody's just ready to get in the shop and get working, huh? Well, I mentioned we're an all-volunteer group, and so this is that part of the program where I need to ask for volunteers to maybe change the filters. The AC filter, you got it, and the trash. Okay, I got it. All right. A new hand. All right, thank you so much. Let's get back out there and get to making or talking to Davis about his project.